There's a difference between choosing something and settling for it. I spent most of my life believing I was doing the first when I was mostly doing the second. I settled for Millhaven because leaving felt complicated. I settled for staying in the classroom when other doors opened because stepping through them felt uncertain. I settled for a version of marriage that was functional and decent and missing something neither Maggie nor I ever named out loud. I settled for being a father who provided rather than one who was present, because presence required something I hadn't learned to give. None of it was terrible. That's the hardest part to explain. A terrible life is easier to understand. This was a good life by most measures, stable, respectable, the kind of life that looks exactly right from the outside and feels from the inside like wearing a coat that almost fits. Almost. I remember a night in my early 40s. Maggie was asleep. The kids were in bed, the house was quiet. I sat at the kitchen table, the same table, and I had this thought, clear and uninvited, is this it? Not with despair, just with a kind of flat recognition, like looking at a map and realizing you've been on the wrong road for a long time, but you're too far along to turn back. I didn't turn back. I made my coffee the next morning and went to school, and the thought sank below the surface, and I didn't let it come back up. Settling isn't dramatic. That's why it works so well. It looks like responsibility, like maturity, like a man who understands that life isn't about chasing things, that contentment is enough, that wanting more is somehow ungrateful. I believed all of that. I used all of that to stay exactly where I was. Maggie deserved someone who had chosen her fully, not chosen the stable option and then grown to love her, which is what I did. She was worth more than that. She never said so. She may not have even known, but I knew in that quiet part of myself I rarely visited. I'm not sure what the alternative was. I'm not sure there was a grand unlived life waiting for me somewhere. Maybe not. Maybe the life I settled for was close to what choosing would have looked like anyway. But I'll never know that. And not knowing, that's the part that sits with me at 84 in a kitchen that has always almost felt like home. Almost.